Hi everybody, Paul Cameron here with SpeedUpMyJobSearch.com, and this is day 5 of my 31 days of search efficiency. And today we're going to talk about interviews. And it was inevitable that if I'm going to be posting a new video every single day in December, that some of those days would fall on Sundays, right? And Sundays in December in our house mean that, after church, Dad gets the remote because I will be offering my coaching wisdom to the television set for our beloved Bears, hoping that they can hear me through the screen sometimes. But there's a wonderful parallel between football and how you can become very efficient at certain positions and how you can master the skill of interviewing very efficiently, even at the very advanced levels. And so I thought I'd take today, after another wonderful Sunday afternoon watching our poor Bears do what they do here, and explain the situation briefly. And you don't have to be a football fan to really follow this analogy, but we have in Chicago a rookie quarterback who's unfortunately injured right now, but he's still learning the speed of the game. Right? And if you've heard that expression before, that when a rookie quarterback finally starts to turn the corner and starts to get it, they say that the game just started to slow down for him. Well, what they mean by that is not having to think so much about all the different things that are going on. They're just seeing and reacting and doing, kind of like if I were to throw something, at your head, for example. You don't have to think, okay, I'm going to put my right hand up in front of my face and then I'm going to move my head to the... No, you move, you get out of the way, right? Or you block it or whatever you do. Same kind of thing going on for the quarterback position, right? A lot of people don't know just how much is involved with that role. They think you just go back to the huddle and they call a play and then they run the play. And there's a lot more to it than that. Right, so when he goes back to the huddle, he's, yes, Joe, you run an out pattern, and Steve, you're going to run a button hook, and Larry, you're going to run a post. But when those guys get to the line of scrimmage, those receivers are then reading the guy across from them, and if that wide out on the right side, if the guy across from him takes 2 steps toward the sideline, well, then, if that's the case, then he's instead of running an out pattern, he's going to run this post pattern. And if the guy running the button hook, if that guy across from him takes 2 steps inside, then he's going to run a square out. There's all these different things going on that the receivers are reading, and the quarterback then needs to be reading those the same way that the receivers are reading those, if that makes sense. So if the quarterback is sitting back there thinking all these thoughts, like, okay, so that guy, let's see, he took a step out towards the sidelines, so that means that now Joe's going to run the post, and if by then, game over, you're sacked, right? They came in. All of this is happening within the first 1 or 2 seconds of that play, right? So with that in mind, you don't want to hand that rookie quarterback the playbook when the starter goes down, right? So at the end of the first half, the starter goes down at halftime. You don't hand the rookie the playbook and say, okay, learn this, and then you're the starter in the second half. What? No way. As soon as you draft that kid, he is studying all off season. He's studying in training camp. He's studying hopefully for the whole first year as the backup before you put him in, so that when he gets in there, he knows what he's doing. He's already mastered it. The game is already slowed down. Okay? Now let's make the parallel jump over to interviewing at a professional level, especially for these senior level positions. The time to start learning the more advanced level interview strategies is not after your current employer has gone down, right? Or after your current position's gone down and you've been laid off. Right, that's a little bit late in the game. It's not, unrecoverable, but you could be so much better if a little bit at a time, when you don't need to, you're learning another advanced interview strategy, such as that guy takes a step outside, then they're going to run the post. You got to know what all those little maneuvers are going to be, right? And, I'd say level 1 of interviewing is, the basics, the fundamentals of, show up on time and make sure you're dressed appropriately and be honest. Really rule number one of interviewing, be honest. But let's go to a little bit more of an advanced level than that. Let's take that one concept of be honest. 100% of the time, yes, be honest. And there are ways to present that honest information in different ways that are received with different levels of interest. Let's say, I'll give you an example here. And since I'm a tech recruiter, I'm going to use a tech example here. But let's say that a company is interviewing two candidates. They're not sure about their AWS experience, and so they ask them, do you have experience leading a team in an AWS, cloud environment? All right, a couple ways you can answer this, both 100% honest. The one candidate, first candidate, says, well, you know what, I don't really have any practical hands-on experience with AWS. Now, the company I was at a couple of years ago, they were evaluating, and I was on the team that was helping to evaluate the different packages and different cloud options we went to, and we did end up going with AWS, but before we could actually get it implemented, that's when the pandemic hit, and we didn't get it brought in time, so I haven't really worked on it. All right, 100% honest, he hasn't worked with it. All right, second candidate, same exact situation, hasn't worked on it. Right, he answers instead, they say, hey, do you have experience leading a team in an AWS environment? Like, well, I don't have any practical hands-on experience, personally myself, but when I was with, ABC company a couple of years ago, we were evaluating all these different packages, and I did get some really good exposure to AWS because I was on the team that was doing that evaluation. And we ultimately picked AWS because there was just so much upward potential. And when I heard that you guys here have AWS, that was one of the reasons I was so interested in pursuing this role, because I'd have the opportunity to start working on it on a daily basis and working with it and leading a team in an AWS environment. I really think that this is where we're going to be long term in the future, and I'm excited to get my hands into it. Said the same thing about both candidates, said the exact same thing. I don't have experience with it, although I did have some exposure to it. All right, but the second candidate showed so much more interest in it, and that was one of the reasons I was so interested in this position, was because I have the chance to work on that particular thing. Being able to say things like that naturally and come up with them when they're unexpected in the conversation, that's a little bit more advanced level. And then from there, to be able to pick out the personality type of the person you're talking to and coordinate and match your personality responses and communication style to what they prefer to work with. That's a whole skill level in and of itself. And I'm going to show you on the screen here and shrink myself down to show you. In phase 4 of Speed Up My Job Search, I teach all of these advanced level skills and how to position yourself, how to set them up to start selling you on the opportunity, so that you can then buy into what they're selling, and then they're going to feel great about you because they've laid all that groundwork out there. And that's something you can set up with how you guide the conversation and lead the conversation based on what you're saying and what you're asking throughout the interview. But little tools, like if you use them enough, I've got this proprietary tool in here that if you're talking to somebody on the phone, for example, or you just do this with your friends and family to get used to how it works, that you're on the phone with somebody, did they engage in small talk? Okay, let's say yes they did. And is their speaking pace, is it fast or is it slow? Let's say it's very fast. And let's say they're talking a lot, like I am right now. And let's say that they're very wordy, no silent pauses. And does it seem more open to sharing their feelings, or a little bit more guarded? I'd say a little bit more open. All right, now here, this would be an influencer type if you're looking at the DISC, D-I-S-C type, influencer type. All right, very good with culture development, maybe a little bit overly impulsive, likes the feeling of approval and inclusion, and doesn't like the set daily routine kind of things. Make sure you match that person's energy level and connect their projects with the big picture strategy that's going on for the organization. And there's a lot more to it than just this, but if you can start picking these things out on the fly, they're going to enjoy the conversations more with you. This is not a skill that you just pick up the day before your first interview. All right? The way you become really, really good at interviewing at so many more master level interview techniques is by going over them again and again, a little bit each week when you don't need to, when the pressure is off, so that when you unexpectedly get thrown in the game, you're ready to go. And in our course here, I've got multiple topics that get really in depth into advanced level interview skills and tactics, but I also have a mock interviews section in here as well, to where you can just go through a mock interview with me interviewing you, and you can talk to your computer, but you can also record yourself here, and as you're recording yourself, then as soon as you're done, you can record yourself here right away, or you can download it for later and listen to it at another time, or you can download it and then upload it into a program for me, and I can listen to it and give you my professional advice on how I would recommend you tweak that answer. And there's just so many different ways to advance your skills and tools and tips and things that I've got in here if you want to become more advanced at your interviewing skills. What if they ask you an illegal question? How do you answer that tactfully and get yourself still positioned to get that position? Good ways to open the interview, and how do you handle the extreme nerves and high pressure of the interview situation, which is not really normal for, say an IT programmer to be in an interview setting. How do you handle those nerves? And going through a pre-interview checklist and debrief forms, and how do you reject the other companies as you're going. There's so many different tools that you have access to in here. But the one thing I would recommend to become a more efficient interviewer, start practicing right now before you need to. And that is going to put you on the right path to doing better when they throw you in the game. So that's day 5, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow on Monday for day 6. Okay, take care.